Hello and welcome to Tiny Little Podcast, where we talk with people from all walks of life about topics and thought-provoking ideas right from this tiny little desk. Sit back, relax, and here we go. All right, welcome to Tiny Little Podcast. We're here with Fran Castilla. Ooh, we see some lobsters. How are you?
I'm fabulous.
I know.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
I'm going to open my tiny little laptop and we're going to interview you with some questions. We wanted to know a little bit about you and your journey. And we always start our podcast with a little bit about yourself. And there's 3 sections. There's insights, lessons learned, and forward actions. And so we wanted to talk to you about all things SLP. Yeah, you know me.
With SLP? Because I'm an SLP.
So tell us about the lobster first. I like those. What's the deal?
I am obsessed with lobsters right now. Obsessed. It started with a lobster straw hat and it has a little lobster on it. And then I thought this summer is a summer of lobster. Friends episode, Phoebe told Rachel that Ross is her lobster. Once they attach, they mate for life. That's it.
Hey, Fran. So we're going to talk to you about SLP, and that stands for Speech and Language Pathologist. And where has this path led you? So what's your beginnings in terms of how you came to become an SLP?
Well, it all started with, I was in the airport in Lubbock, Texas, little small airport, and there was this hearing impaired person who came through the airport with giving away little ASL cards. So it was all the sign language alphabet on a business card. And he handed me one. And then I started studying the ABCs in sign language. And I thought I was going to go into deaf education. But in the end, it led me to the communication disorders program. The reason that I was intrigued with the letters and the alphabet was because of our cousin Bobby, who did sign language, and no one could talk to him. And I was like, I'm going to learn it and talk to him. And I think, honestly, he was my first inspiration, my cousin Bobby.
So where has this path taken you? Like, what's sort of your journey?
So that was probably in high school. I want to say that was 8th grade when I got that card. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, right? And so I wasn't even sure I'd go to college, but a teacher, Mrs. Wheeler, gave me a clipboard. You remember her? Yeah. She gave me a clipboard, and the clipboard had Texas Tech on it because I was doing an Upward Bound program, which was kind of an early college for low income, whatever. I don't know. I don't even know how I got in the program, probably through a friend. And I just thought, well, maybe I'll go to college, maybe I won't. I don't know. By the grace of God, I ended up in college. Like I said, I thought the sign language card was going to take me in a direction, but there was this little boy named Elvis who was hard of hearing, and I was teaching a Bible study class in sign language, and he turned his face and did not want to hear me. And I thought, what am I doing? He wants nothing to do with me, and I can't get his attention. And I started crying. And then he came over to me and he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, oh my gosh, he understood that something upset me. And I was like, but he can't tell me. I need to think about how I'm approaching this. And so I went to talk to my counselor, and he's like, well, why don't you try this route? And I did it. And so many things happened in my journey in speech pathology that I thought, still, this is not right for me. Something, God has a plan for me. But all the obstacles, someone telling me that I was better off being a recruiter for bilingual students, not SLP, or fashion, not SLP.
Well,
I just thought,
hey, I'm going to go with fashion.
Why can't I do all of it? I could still do bilingual and be an SLP and use, fashion. So it's an interesting journey that I ended up really pursuing it and sticking with it, made the dean's list, and graduated. I was on student council, went to visit the White House. Like, I did so many things.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I did so many things with this, all because of Bobby. And I have met Bobby, so to speak, every day of my profession, because now I know that I can help.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just the language and the connections beyond the academics, but being able to support the whole child, I think that's important. And so in this SLP path, have you worked with both adults and kids? And I know you were traveling for a bit, and you were in New York City. What was that like, and how did you get to where you are today?
So let's break it down. The Spanish part, yes.
Break it down. Oh, sorry.
Break it down. I graduated. I worked with babies. I worked with feeding little babies that have cleft palates. I worked with seniors and geriatrics that had strokes. One journey led to the next. I ended up in New York working with primarily Spanish-speaking cultures of every denomination of Spanish you can imagine. And I really picked up the language a lot further. I was borderline. I was like fluent, but not, And so over time, I just picked it up. So that came into play, and that really amplified. I studied that in New York and really got connected there. And then that traveling took me I did traveling therapy. That took me to California. So I've really seen a lot of different, even when I lived in Spain through a past relationship, but even then I was using my sign language. So all of it has kind of come together. The journey to pull in from all my experiences, nothing has gone wasted. You know how they say, don't waste any food? I kind of feel like that's been my life. Nothing has gone to waste, because every step, whether it took me all the way or part of the way or it didn't work out, every single one of those steps are connected to bringing it all together.
Yeah. As we move to question number 2, you said you've worked with kids from all cultures, from all walks of life, from all ages. As you work with these different folks or different people, the little humans in different parts of the country, what lessons have you learned, or what are some commonalities or differences? And more importantly, I bet you, of our 3 visitors who watch our tiny little podcast, I bet somebody's probably dealing with a situation where maybe their child is not able to communicate or talk. What would you tell them? Here's what I've learned, and here's how you can move forward to support your child or your student.
Well, first of all, I think the biggest thing is that every human being of any age, infant to adult to senior, has potential for something. And
I believe that.
Everybody. There's potential for something in everyone. And so I think if you encounter someone that you can't speak to or doesn't understand you, try. Don't give up. Even if it's just human touch, a shaking of a hand, a hug, a smile.
Yeah. A lobster.
A lobster. You just never know. Everything has meaning to someone, and everyone means something to us. So
I love that. Hey, Fran, as we move to the 3rd question and looking at forward actions, you've been doing this for quite some time, and we're not getting any younger. So, what's next for you, or what are some of your sort of forward path, either staying in this profession or maybe in your personal life? What do you want to do next?
Fashion. No, actually, that kind of just gives me a kind of a break from, sometimes it isn't always so easy. Sometimes it is painful to see the pain and the agony and the frustration and the I guess I don't want to call it failure, but sometimes you hit roadblocks. And so you got to keep something to yourself that grounds you, whatever that may be. I always wonder I don't have a hobby. I'm not artistic. I'm not a good cook. I don't sew. We all have something. So what's next for me? Will it be something in communication and connection? Or maybe it's, I don't know. I just have always trusted God with my plan. And people even say to me, like, why are you moving there? You don't have a job yet. You don't. And I'm like, it'll happen. I trust God. God has a path. Yeah. I just follow his lead. And I know that, I'm going to be placed somewhere where I can be of service. And so what's next for me? I hope a place of service.
Love that.
With a little flair.
A place of service. That's such a beautiful statement, because you never know your path, but everything has a purpose. And I think from our other podcast, this notion of trust that God has a plan for you, and it always gets fulfilled. And sometimes those rocky roads, those tough spots in your life, they make you stronger, and they're lessons learned. So love that. Well, hey, I did want to let everybody know before we say goodbye, is Fran is the person who gave me that tiny little duck, and I love it. We'll have to put something new on the desk, but our last guy loved it. So those are my notes fell, but that's our tiny little podcast, and we're so happy to have Fran. Also want to let you know, Fran gave me this violin, so any of you sleepers out there, we don't want to hear you whine. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Save the drama for your mama.
That's right. Franny, thank you so much for being with us.
Namaste.
We love you and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
That's all for today. Insights, lessons learned, and forward actions. If you'd like to be a guest on Tiny Little Podcast, visit our website at jocolaunch.com/TLP. Sign up to be a guest, and we look forward to seeing you. Have a great day.